Hey there, let's chat about layouts. Learning to lay out, improving your confidence laying out, and improving your layouts themselves. This is something that has always been a strength of my game in Ultimate, and because of that I get asked a lot of questions by clients, students, or even teammates. And really, initially I was thinking maybe I'm not the best person to ask because laying out has come innately to me, reflexively. So if something's out of my reach, I just leave my feet. I don't even think about it. And that has led me to a lot of issues. So I've dealt with separated shoulder, subluxed shoulder, torn rotator cuff, torn labrum, fractures, dislocated shoulders, surgeries, concussions, so much fun stuff. But because of that, I've had to kind of reacclimate myself with laying out a bunch of different times. I've had to learn more and think more consciously about it than I used to. Now, one of the big things that happens for people is that they're just not comfortable laying out at all. So we need to figure out where along the continuum we need to start. Okay, so if you think about like therapy, there's exposure therapy with anxiety, OCD, where you take something that is anxiety producing and you find the level at which the person is uncomfortable, but they can manage it. Okay, so let's say you're not willing to leave your feet at all. Okay, we need to find a controlled, low stakes environment in which we can practice. So maybe you're going to practice laying out on a mattress or in a pool. Maybe you're comfortable laying out from a standstill, like a goalie. You can do that. But running full speed or half speed, you're not comfortable leaving your feet. So we need to find where along that continuum is a good place for you to start practicing. Because we don't want to just rip the Band-Aid off. That can lead to problems. And when you're not confident laying out, that's when you're more likely to get hurt or to hurt someone else. Because if you start to leave your feet and you kind of hedge a little bit, tend to pull in like this, landing like that, dislocations, separated shoulders, fractures, all can result from that. Or you might run into someone because you're a little bit conflicted in what you're doing. So it's safer if you are confident. So we want to find an environment in which you can be confident. Additionally, we want to work on specific strength and mobility, especially in the shoulders, because that's where a lot of the injuries tend to take place with layouts. So I have a video I can link in the description here with a lot of different ways to do this, but you can do isometrics, eccentrics in shoulder flexion, in extension, in all these different ranges where you're specifically going to land. Because just doing presses, pull-ups, rows, bench press, that's not going to cut it. We need to be strong and be able to produce force quickly in these extreme ranges for our shoulder. When you do that, you are going to naturally build a little more confidence. You're going to be confident that your body can handle some of the forces. So that can help mitigate some of the trepidation or anxiety with leaving your feet and laying out. Okay, so we need to find where along the continuum is a good place to practice, spend time there. Okay, and then we need to build our strength and mobility specifically to help build confidence and ensure that we can practice our layouts without hurting ourselves or with mitigating some of that damage. So to give some more examples, one thing I like to do is if it's rainy and muddy outside, you got some soft, slick grass, great opportunity to practice some layouts. Okay, I'm going to take you real quick through a few things I've worked on with people through like this little continuum of exposure, right? So with some people, I'll start on the knees and just dive like that, okay? Just dive onto your chest, and you want to try to distribute the load throughout your arms, chest, belly, so that no one area is landing really hard. You want to try to avoid catching yourself like this, okay? You want to practice as you impact being able to control your head so it doesn't smack like that. It's not all going to be easy at once. That's why we're starting in a low stakes environment. Then you can try just standing and diving. You can try going low and diving. You can work into a jog, work into a run. If running or jogging and diving onto a solid surface doesn't feel good, that's where you can use something like a mattress, you can use pillows, you can use a pool. What I want to stress though is that as you're practicing, try to imagine you're landing on a solid surface. So if you're diving like a lunatic into a pool, and I've been there, be mindful of what might happen if you're doing that onto land. So if you get used to doing all of these twisty layouts or something into a pool, Super fun, right? But when you land, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. So practice in different scenarios. As you get gradually more comfortable, try to push your limit a little bit more. Try to find initially a controlled environment that is a little bit more uncomfortable for you. And then eventually you can get into a scrimmage or a game situation. Maybe you're at a point where in an actual game you have trouble laying out, but in practice you're okay. All right, that's a good place to be. Practice that layout in practice against real people in a game, okay? So that when you get into an actual competition, you're more likely to do it. Because that reflexive layout nature is not going to happen without a lot of practice, without you being able to pull the trigger really quickly. Because in a game, you don't have time to think about it, and if you do, there's a good chance you're going to lay out late, hurt yourself, and maybe hurt somebody else. So to reiterate, I want you to find along that continuum of layouts where you are maybe a little uncomfortable, but you're willing to practice and it's safe for you to practice. And then progressively move along there until you're up towards a more competitive, fast game situation. And it might take a while, but you can do this. Concurrently, I want you to also work on your shoulder mobility, your strength, your ability to produce force quickly at the angles that you know you need it. That's going to help build confidence and help ensure you stay healthy throughout your practice. Finally, I want to add, you have to be willing to fail. Okay, you have to be willing to fail. When you lay out, you are leaving your feet, you're taking a leap of faith after something that you might not be able to reach. The absolute best layouts I've ever had are ones that when I left my feet, I was not at all sure I was going to catch or D the disc. And that's okay. If you lay out and you don't get it, that's okay. You need to practice that. You need to be okay with that. Otherwise, it's never going to be a natural reflexive action for you, because if you're weighing whether or not you're going to fail in the moment, it's just not going to happen. Okay, so I can tell you I failed plenty, and that's the reason I can lay out the way I do. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions or thoughts about it.